গত 5ই ডিসেম্বর থেকে 11ই ডিসেম্বর সায়েন্স সিটি কলকাতায় অনুষ্ঠিত হল 21তম জাতীয় মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞান প্রদর্শনী। ভারতে এই প্রথম জাতীয় স্তরে মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞান জনপ্রিয়করণ এবং প্রচারমূলক প্রদর্শনী অনুষ্ঠিত হল।
আমরা এখন রয়েছি কলকাতার সায়েন্স সিটিতে 21তম ন্যাশনাল স্পেস সায়েন্স সিম্পোজিয়ামের পাবলিক আউটরিচ এবং এক্সিবিশন। এই সিম্পোজিয়ামটি এবছরেরই গোড়াতে কোভিডের পরিস্থিতিতে ভার্চুয়ালি অনুষ্ঠিত হয়েছিল। এখন তার এক্সিবিশনটি এই কোভিডের মহামারীর প্রকোপ কাটিয়ে আমরা সবাই এই এক্সিবিশনে একত্রিত হয়েছি। সারা ভারতের মহাকাশ গবেষণা এবং প্রযুক্তি যে উচ্চতায় পৌঁছেছে তার একটা অসম্ভব সুন্দর নিদর্শন এখানে দেখা যাচ্ছে। প্রায় 20টির বেশি বিজ্ঞান এবং প্রযুক্তি সংস্থা, বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় এবং পাবলিক আউটরিচ সংস্থা সবাই মিলে এই অনুষ্ঠানটি আয়োজন করছে এখানে, যার মূল উদ্যোক্তা ইসরো এবং আইসার কলকাতা।
একদম স্বতন্ত্র এই সম্মেলনের আয়োজক সেন্টার অফ এক্সেলেন্স ইন স্পেস সায়েন্সেস ইন্ডিয়া, আইসার কলকাতা, ভারতীয় মহাকাশ গবেষণা সংস্থা ইসরো, এন বোস ন্যাশনাল সেন্টার ফর বেসিক সায়েন্সেস, বিড়লা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল অ্যান্ড টেকনোলজিক্যাল মিউজিয়াম এবং কলকাতা শহরের প্রেসিডেন্সি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, কলকাতা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, সেন্ট জেভিয়ার্স কলেজ এবং সায়েন্স সিটি। সাধারণ মানুষ এবং ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছে বিজ্ঞান গবেষণার তথ্য ও ফলাফল পৌঁছে দেওয়া, মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞানীদের এবং প্রযুক্তিবিদদের সাথে সরাসরি আলোচনা এবং আদান প্রদানের সুযোগ, মাতৃভাষায় বিজ্ঞানের প্রসার এই প্রদর্শনীর লক্ষ্য। সায়েন্স সিটি ছাড়াও সেন্ট জেভিয়ার্স কলেজের রাঘবপুর ক্যাম্পাসে সারাদিনব্যাপী একটি রুরাল আউটরিচ প্রোগ্রাম হয়। এছাড়াও প্রেসিডেন্সি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, এন বোস, আইজার মোহনপুর ক্যাম্পাস এবং সায়েন্স সিটিতে বেশ কিছু বিজ্ঞান আলোচনা সভা, আড্ডা, বিজ্ঞান ও প্রযুক্তির যোগাযোগ বিষয়ক সেমিনার আয়োজিত হয়। প্রদর্শনী উদ্বোধন করেন ইসরোর প্রাক্তন চেয়ারম্যান এস কিরণ কুমার। আয়োজক সংস্থার প্রতিনিধিরা এক আন্তরিক আলোচনায় গবেষণা প্রতিষ্ঠান এবং বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়গুলির পারস্পরিক সহযোগিতার কথা তুলে ধরেন।
A lot of people out from the outreach from rural areas.
I'm very happy with their research institute. We are also a teaching institute.
That's right.
So that has come together, and I think that will fetch much more than anything.
All over India, from Thiruvananthapuram, from Nisak, from Meghalaya, from Dehradun. People, I mean, this is, I think, an amazing collaboration.
I never thought that they have in Meghalaya also they have in ISRO. It has reached there now. That is really not
there for a long time. ISRO has played a very big role in popularizing science. I was part of PRL.
Sita is a very important person because she is not only the chairperson of the National Outreach Committee, she is the calming influence on me. Whenever I need advice, I go to her. She has just been brilliant, and I think holding things from the top. When I need any she has a perfect role here because she used to work for ISRO, but now she's retired. She understands ISRO as well as us. So, and she was also a teacher. Mr. Shohar Choudhury is the director of Birla Industrial Technological Museum. I'm happy you could make it. BITM is hosting the Women in Space Science event on 9th morning. They're given us the hall for free and getting all the schools. Thank you again because you're also part of NCSM. Oh, yes. And it's been an amazing collaboration with National Council of Science Museums, ISRO.
And academic institutions like IIA, ARIES, etc.
That's right. Also, ASI, Astronomical Society of India, Public Outreach Committee is here.
India. Yeah.
So, Ashoka University is also here. So, we have a mix, nice bunch of mix.
We are happy to be a part of this program. At Birla Industrial and Technological Museum, we will be hosting some panel discussion and also lecture on women in science. That is very important. Thank you.
Assembly of people from ISRO and university and private institutions. As India is gearing up towards making more and more of its entire infrastructure of commercial, academic and student community get into space which we consider as the fourth frontier. After conquering land, ocean and air, now space is the place to be conquered. And India is now really looking at how it can get a significant portion of the global space economy, which is almost like $1 trillion in the coming years. And being a country which has established its own space technology in the last 4 or 5 decades, it is necessary that more and more people participate in that. And the only way we can reach out is by making the next generation more attracted towards that and more aware of what is happening, and also making them aware of what are the requirements, both of the country's needs as well as its necessity. And events like this, where it reaches out to the younger generation, showcases to them what is happening in the area of space science and also space activities, is the right way to go about. And I wish events like this a great success, so that we need the next generation to be really at the frontiers of the space.
Thank you, sir.
এখন আমরা পৌঁছে যাব 21তম জাতীয় মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞান প্রদর্শনীর মূল উদ্বোধনী অনুষ্ঠানে। অনুষ্ঠানের আহ্বায়ক ছিলেন ন্যাশনাল স্পেস সায়েন্স সিম্পোজিয়ামের লোকাল অর্গানাইজিং কমিটির চেয়ারপারসন, ইন্ডিয়ান ইনস্টিটিউটস অফ সায়েন্স এডুকেশন অ্যান্ড রিসার্চ, কলকাতার প্রফেসর দিব্যেন্দু নন্দী।
So we finally got the National Space Science Symposium to the land of Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, Jagadish Chandra Bose, N Bose, Meghnad Shah, A.B.C. Roy, and not to forget Shishir Kumar Mitra, after whom a crater is named in the moon, which I don't think many Bengalis are even aware of it. Pioneer of ionospheric physics. Ionosphere is a layer that sits between the boundary of Earth and space. Ashok is sitting here in front of me, who's installing the CuSat radar, Bodhingata farm, where Shishir Kumar Mitra started working long back. So this land and this place has a lot of heritage, and I'm glad that we could bring this to you with the support of ISRO. And I hope you will enjoy over the next couple of days. Thank you again, all of you.
This was suggested by Professor Dibyendu Nandi, who is the chair of the local organizing committee here, and he is also a member of the national organizing committee. And this was kindly approved by Shri A.S. Kiran Kumar, who is the chair of the national organizing committee. Welcome to this celebration of space science achievements. We had the first event on 5th December at the Ragapur campus of St. Xavier's College. This was attended by over 60 children, and this was a rural outreach program which we had at the beginning. From 6th to 11th, we are having it at several venues of Kolkata, and those will be held, the several public talks will be held both in English and Bengali, and we are having a Women in Space panel discussion, and industry and academic interface panel discussion, and of course a science adda. These are planned in the Science City, Birla Institute and Technological Museum, Presidency University, N Bose National Center for Basic Sciences, and IISER Kolkata. We thank all the invited speakers, organizers, and participants for making time to be with us. And most important, we thank the volunteers who have made all this possible. We look forward to joining you all and enjoying the grand celebration of Indian accomplishments in space science. Thank you.
So I'm very happy about it that students got exposed to this kind of atmosphere, and I think they'll be able to do much better in the futures to come. I wish all the best and thank Dibyendu for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
When I was in school, used to read about mariners, voyagers, dreaming about go to moon, Mars, and whatnot. And thanks to our own ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, when I was in PRL, we discovered for the first time water on moon. And one of those meetings, council meetings, one young person asked, "What is the next dream?" And I remember the then chairman, Madhavan Nair, telling, "Why not Mars?" And lo and behold, we realized that dream. And if you really read about it, the kind of technological advancement that had gone into taking that rocket to Mars, it's just mind-boggling. So now, ISRO gives us our dreams. IISER Kolkata CESI, all our institutes over here are full with young people with dreams. And what is the best place than the Science Museum, where all of us are coming together. I do foresee a lot of young talents in future coming out of it and venturing into space. Thanks, Devendra.
I'm so happy to see so many youngsters in the audience, so many students. And someday you'll look back on this and realize that this is what made you interested in science, in doing science, and that is where our future lies. Thank you.
Astrophysics department of our new department of our university is participating in this program, and I am very glad to see all young faces, because as a school child they have some romantic ideas about what is astrophysics, what is astronomy, but now they can understand what actually happens here. So this is a great opportunity, and I would like to see this kind of programs in future. Thank you.
On 5th November, under the able guidance of Dr. Shurbari Guho and supported by ISRO and IISER Kolkata ISRO, we conducted a rural outreach program for the local students in Bengali language in our Ragapur campus in South 24 Parganas district, wherein Dr. Tita Pradip Das had delivered a lecture entitled Mahashay Bharat Varsha, solar observation with the help of 2 portable telescopes from CESI and IISER was demonstrated by Dr. Virendra Yadav and his team. Dr. Das and Dr. Dibendra Nandi are both former students of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. Their enthusiasm has played a crucial role in our involvement in these activities. We also have an outreach stall in the exhibition area just outside the auditorium. It includes a brief synopsis of the activities of the college in the domain of astrophysics, research, classrooms, and outreach sectors.
And it's so wonderful to see this program continuing year after year. And Dr. Dipendra Nandi was then also very keen to take programs to Science City here, so that the activities that are done in the labs, in the institutions, also are taken to the students who are our future. And we had a large number of activities over the years, and I'm so thankful to IISER that this collaborative event, which started as IISER Science City lecture series, has now culminated into some exhibitions. And I'm thankful to ISRO and all the other institutions who have taken part in this exhibition.
We are privileged that we'll be partnering one of the parts of this program, this National Space Science Exhibition 2022. The discussion, a panel discussion along with a lecture on women in science will take place in Birla Industrial and Technological Museum on 9th of this month. We look forward to all of you to attend this program. It is very important as far as this gender issues concerning science popularization and other things are concerned. And I wish the organizers and all other participating organizations a great success. Best wishes to all of them. Thank you.
And here I would like to mention a couple of things. Number one, students, whenever you browse the internet, do visit the ISRO website, www.isro.gov.in. This website has been modified and restructured in a way such that it is more student-friendly, faculty-friendly, so that many of your questions how to interface with the space program have already been answered in the website. Second aspect which I would like to bring to your notice is, you are aware that India has flown a few scientific missions to Moon, Mars, and it has also flown its astronomy, astrophysics satellite, the AstroSat, and many missions are in the pipeline. So you might ask, when you grow up and you are well educated enough to make use of the data, where from you will get the data? All our Indian missions data, I repeat, the data of the Indian space missions are all available free online you have to visit the website of the Indian Space Science Data Center, which reads www.issdc.gov.in. And one more thing which I would like to mention here, I have got the notion from the students whom I have interacted with. Space science is all about astronomy and astrophysics, which is partially correct. Space science starts right from the boundary layer of the Earth's atmosphere. You go to the middle atmosphere, upper atmosphere, and see the sun and the other members of the solar system, their connection, and inner planets, outer planets, go beyond to study the stars and go to the other solar system. The gamut itself is the space sciences. And let me conclude by telling you, even though you may not, all of you might not pursue the space sciences, even if you pursue the biological sciences, it also has got a good connection with space sciences in terms of astrobiology and space biology, wherein sometimes you do research how to grow the cells or grow artificial organs in the space environment, or try to answer the fundamental question, how did the life start at its first place?
সাধারণের উদ্দেশ্যে উদ্বোধনী বক্তব্য রাখেন ভারতের প্রথম আন্তঃগ্রহ অভিযান মার্স অরবিটার স্পেসক্রাফট বা মঙ্গলযানের সাফল্যের অন্যতম কাণ্ডারি ইসরোর প্রাক্তন চেয়ারম্যান এস কিরণ কুমার।
Today, in fact, after about 75 years of independence, if India is at a stage where globally people are looking at India and its role in the future, it is because of the science and technology, what kind of solutions it provided, and how it has taken things forward. Probably we're all quite familiar that in the early 50s, when Americans and Russians were really fighting or competing with each other to demonstrate who is more capable and who is more stronger, at that time, we had another visionary scientist in this land who thought of making use of this technology of space, which in many ways was a disruptive technology at that point of time, because it was giving human beings an opportunity to go beyond Earth and from outer space look at both what's happening on Earth and also contribute to the progress and development on Earth. Because Dr. Sarabhai was aware that Arthur Clarke had shown that if you are at a geostationary platform, you can cover 1/3 of the globe. And India, which had just got independence in 47, just at 10 years of independence, it was struggling for providing food and struggling to solve many of the problems. So what Dr. Sarabhai did at that time was making use of his friends across the globe, brought in the form of kits, sounding rockets, which was first launched in Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Site. There, he could convince his friends that we have a unique place in India, geomagnetic equator, and if you conduct upper atmospheric research there, it is going to benefit the entire humanity. And starting from simple experiments, and even there, it is quite interesting to see how what he started developed into a great capability in the country. At that time, he had to convince the fishermen in that region of Tumba, and even for convincing the fishermen, he had to make use of the services of a priest of a church there. And through the priest, he convinced the fishermen, you vacate this place for us and allow us to conduct these experiments. One day in future, the country will benefit. And just as though to demonstrate that, today you will see that India has a capability. What we saw just few days back, a new satellite was launched, OceanSat, what was called as EOS-6. In fact, from 1999 onwards, India has been operating an ocean color instrument by looking at the color of the ocean in 8 different wavelengths, identifying the chlorophyll, and through that the food chain of the fish, and locating where the fish can be caught by the fishermen. And this alone, information was provided through a center in Hyderabad called Indian National Ocean Information Systems. And India was able to provide to the 7,500 kilometer long coastline. The fishermen were being provided specific information where they can go for fishing. You are also familiar that India today has a fleet of navigation satellites which provides it a capability to locate itself anywhere beyond the 1500 kilometer boundary of India. A small gadget which is battery operated can be fitted into the boat of the fisherman, and this gadget allows identifying the latitude and longitude of the boat, and a mobile in the hands of the fisherman with an app enables him to communicate with Navik and points to him through a video compass mode where he has to go for fishing. Video compass directs him to that, and then in his mother tongue it provides information about the weather vagaries that could occur. So you can see here an example of how India was able to make use of the most advanced technology of space, building rockets, satellites, and instruments, and providing solution to a person who does not know reading or writing. And for his livelihood, it's able to provide that capability. In fact, what I mentioned just few days back, the satellite what we launched, OceanSat-3, has in a single platform capability to look at the ocean in 13 different wavelengths in thermal channels, and also in using a microwave instrument identifies ocean wind vectors. All of this helps in identifying the fishing school better and then predicting its location more accurately. And this platform also covers the entire globe once in 2 days. Starting early in the late 60s or early 60s, India started its space program. And even right from beginning, looking from space towards Earth and also looking from space to space has been the endeavor. Probably we are all quite familiar how man himself on Earth started making use of the celestial objects for not only making sure bringing order to his life on land, and also to understand how the periodic things that happen can help him navigate his life as things come. And today we have ability to go beyond planet Earth, look from space and look at space beyond the Earth. And these capabilities enable us to not only understand the various weather phenomena that happen on Earth through different observation systems in different platforms, but also enables us to look at the celestial objects. You will be quite happy to know that today we have, probably in one of the stalls you can also see, there is an instrument called, or a satellite called AstroSat, which carries a telescope which operates in a particular wavelength called far ultraviolet. And in this wavelength, the telescope that we operate has an angular resolution which is 3 times better than the best in the world. And because of this capability and also the unique feature it has got of high sensitivity, this instrument is able to observe almost 9.8 billion light years away signals, and providing to our research community a virgin data on which they can carry out research and take science and forward. Today we have a number of missions which are planned. Already, if you look at what has happened, you are all quite familiar. In 2008, when we launched our Chandrayaan-1, the man had already landed on the moon, and a large number of probes were doing in situ observations. But still, the credit for Chandrayaan-1 is it discovered the process of water molecule formation and also the presence of water molecule on moon. The credit for discovery goes to this satellite. Similarly, when the Mars mission was done, the entire world started looking at India, because India demonstrated that with very little in terms of infrastructure and a satellite launch vehicle which had limited capability, using these resources, limited resources, we demonstrated that it is possible to conduct interplanetary missions in a very effective manner. And what was achieved in that, just to appreciate the complexity of that, on the 5th of November 2013, the satellite was launched from Sriharikota. The task cut out for that satellite was, it has to travel in space about a distance of 600 million kilometers over a period of 10 months. And at the end of the 10-month period, on 24th of September 2014, morning 7:30 a.m., you imagine in space a 50-kilometer cube. This satellite had to be inside that cube after traveling for 10 months and 600 million kilometers. If it were not within that cube, it would not have been possible for us to make sure that this satellite gets into the orbit of the Mars. In fact, the kind of problems that could have changed the trajectory of this satellite was, many of you are familiar, sunlight or any light falling on a surface produces, because of the radiation pressure, a force. And during this 10-month period, this satellite actually could have been deviated from its trajectory and it could have gone out of that 50-kilometer cube. And also, as the satellite keeps moving, you need to make sure that not only you are able to get the signal from that, but also take corrective actions for any problems that occur. So this is where continuously the more and more intelligence was built into the satellite, and satellite had to perform on its own because the time gap between the signal sent from ground to reach the satellite to take action and report back was almost half an hour, and that would not have been sufficient for many corrective actions. So you have to build in a lot of autonomous capability onto the satellite, and this was done. And this satellite itself, while originally we had estimated that it would last for about 6.5 months, actually survived for more than 8.5 years. And this year, in the first half, we lost communication with the satellite after the satellite encountered a series of the eclipse periods on its trajectory around the Mars. Apart from the Mars mission, we have today a number of other missions which are going to be coming up. And before that, you're also familiar how Chandrayaan-2 actually provided a unique opportunity wherein we carried forward the instruments initially, which were all brought. Actually, the instrument which detected presence of water molecules was from America, an M-cubed instrument, and a mini-SAR. Today in Chandrayaan-3, we have built our own instruments which are exceeding the capacity of these instruments which were brought in Chandrayaan-1 through American scientific laboratories. And we have already completed more than 3 years of operation on Chandrayaan, and Chandrayaan-2 is still performing and is expected to provide for many more years unique data set for our scientific community. And already a lot of international papers have got published on that, and work is continuing. So in this manner, the capability built in the country of space technology, of building rockets, satellites, instruments, and using all this capability, providing better information to people on the land, whether it is for weather, cyclone prediction, or communication linking the country across the Indian territories, and also looking beyond the borders. All this, apart from this, also looking at space and space science itself. Today, if you look at what is happening in the world, the scenario is changing very fast. While we took almost 4 to 4.5 decades to bring India to a stage where we are among the few countries in the world which have an end-to-end capability of building rockets, satellites, and then instruments, and make use of it. And you'll also be happy to know that India is the only country which started space program in a civilian domain and then moved ahead, whereas all the rest started it in the military domain. Today, the world is moving very fast, and you have already seen how private enterprise is looking at space which is the fourth frontier, the frontier which human being wants to conquer beyond what he has already done, like land, ocean, airspace. Today, private enterprises are conducting business in space. They are building their own launch vehicles, their own space stations, and then they are looking at landing on Mars, establishing habitat, and not only that, using the space itself for space tourism, space adventure, space exploitation, because many of you would have heard that there are companies which want to mine asteroids and bring from asteroids material which may not be available on Earth. If all of this is happening, and many private enterprise is actually conducting space activities outside the government domains. Unlike in the earlier era, it was only the nation states which were doing space business. But today, private enterprise is doing. And in this context, India also is moving ahead, because if being one of the few countries which had this end-to-end capability of space technology, if it cannot use it for developing its own economy, so we are told that space economy has reached almost $1 trillion in a couple of years. And if India has to make use of at least 10 to 20% of this economic growth, then it will fall significantly behind. And it is here that the government is looking at how the technology we have developed in space can be made beneficial for the entire country. And you have seen the effects of this. Just a few weeks back, you saw one private company putting a small rocket up to a height of 80 kilometers, 89 kilometers, and came back within a matter of 23 minutes. So this experiment is in many ways similar to what ISRO did way back in '63, the first sounding rocket which went into space. But then the point is, this company is doing it all on its own, and now it has plans of building its own rocket for launching satellite for not only Indians, but also for global community. In a matter of 1 year, they want to come up with a full-fledged launch vehicle which will take satellites into orbit. Similarly, there is another company which is now setting up its own launch pad facilities in Sriharikota. So the government is also encouraging more and more private enterprise. Beyond that, you are also familiar that India has started getting into the human space program. And human space program basically is a starting point. And with it, we get the capability to put humans into orbit. In fact, originally the plan was, before the 75th year of independence, India should have put a couple of Gagannauts into space and brought them back. But because of COVID and other difficulties, this program is slightly delayed. But then things are moving in right earnest. In the coming year, you will see a number of experiments where preparatory launches for carrying Gagannauts into space will be done. And then the human space program is not just a beginning, but it will continue with space station. And then if a human being has to live in space, then all aspects of his sustaining life become so much more important. And then life in space becomes another very important area of development. And if in future things have to improve, it's possible only when we make sure that our next generation is brought to their knowledge and to their awareness. We bring in what is happening today and what is going to happen tomorrow, and how they should equip themselves with the new knowledge and new capabilities and new technologies, and using those skills, how they should gear up for not only protecting themselves, but also for protecting even the planet Earth. Today, we are all quite familiar that as science and technology keeps developing newer and newer capabilities which are meant for improving the standard of living for humans on planet Earth, but we have also brought in sufficient number of problems which, if not tackled in near future, it could even endanger sustenance of life on planet Earth. So it is here that what is planned here, where the Sri Divyendu Nandi and his team, and even the our National Space Science Symposium and exhibition, all these activities are primarily meant for showcasing what we have done, where we have reached, and what are the capabilities that we need to develop for future. And for this to happen, there is nothing else but making sure that our next generation really becomes familiar with the various capabilities that are there and what new technologies they have to understand. And so let me wish all the organizers of this event a great success in their effort, and wish all our young generation a great success in their lives, in not only making sure that they live a better life, but also ensure that this entire planet Earth has a better life. Thank you.
অন্ধ ভূমিগর্ভ হতে শুনেছিলে সূর্যের আহ্বান, প্রাণের প্রথম জাগরণে তুমি বৃক্ষ আদি প্রাণ, ঊর্ধ্ব শীর্ষে উচ্চারিলে আলোকের প্রথম বন্দনা, ছন্দহীন পাষাণের বক্ষ পরে আনিলে বেদনা, নিঃসার নিষ্ঠুর মরুস্থলে। এই বৃক্ষ বন্দনায় মূল অনুষ্ঠানের সূচনা হয়। একুশতম জাতীয় মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞান প্রদর্শনীর অংশ হিসেবে বিড়লা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল অ্যান্ড টেকনোলজিক্যাল মিউজিয়ামে উইমেন ইন স্পেস সায়েন্স শীর্ষক আলোচনায় অংশগ্রহণ করেন ভারতের বিশিষ্ট মহিলা মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞান এবং প্রযুক্তি গবেষক।
Yeah, so this is a little bit, I've already spoken about, equatorial orbits, why you need polar orbits, why you need inclined orbits, and different shapes of orbits. So yeah, this is probably textbook stuff which you can get everywhere. But what I want to tell you is, if you look at what we are doing today, so if you look at this, we are here, India. So all our lower orbits are here up to 900. Some of them can even go up to 1,000, 1,500. You have the geostationary, you have the moon at the distance of 385,000 kilometers, and then you have the Mars. So these are the missions, if you want to pictorially represent in terms of distance that we at ISRO are doing. The satellite per se itself does not make sense. It cannot go there to space on its own. You need a launch vehicle. So you need the launch vehicle, and then to keep the satellite up there, you need the ground station. So there are three important components. We just see how ISRO is actually, we have we call it as a workhorse of ISRO. We have this PSLV, which carries all these satellites to the lower orbit. This is what I just explained. Orbits between 500 to 900 kilometers. And then you have the GSLVs, which take satellite to the geostationary orbit. Now you have this new missions called this GSLV Mark III. I'm sure all of you read about this OneWeb constellation. So OneWeb is again a communication satellite done by Europe. So this GSLV Mark III carried 36 number of OneWeb satellites. This is another very nice mission that I did, and I always like to talk about it because I was a part of this mission. It was the first re-entry mission that ISRO did way back in 2007, and that time there were no newspapers, there was no publicity. ISRO did it silently, but this mission went to space, stayed there for 13 days, and then it did a re-entry, and then we recovered the entire capsule in an integrated way, and we got data till the last moment.
I started doing physical sciences and everything when we were in 7th standard, and one of the best chapters, my favorite chapters that time, was gravitation. But it so happens that now I started working on space platforms which have to escape gravity. So that was my favorite chapter at that point. And when I think we were in 7th standard or 8th standard, that time internet was not there, so 7th standard or 8th standard, we came across newspaper stories, and in school teachers were telling us about Kalpana Chawla, late Kalpana Chawla. So that time it was actually, to be honest, it was the first exposure for me to know about, like for many people of our generation in those years.
6 দিনব্যাপী এই সম্মেলনে ভারতের অন্যতম সেরা মহাকাশ বিজ্ঞানী এবং গবেষকরা বক্তব্য রাখেন।
জ্যোতির্বিজ্ঞান বা অ্যাস্ট্রোফিজিক্স আর স্পেস জনিত বিজ্ঞান তার যুগ এখন। তার কারণ হচ্ছে যে আমাদের মহাবিশ্ব সম্বন্ধে অনেক আইডিয়া, অনেক প্রশ্ন ছিল অনেক দিন ধরে, কিন্তু তার উত্তর খুঁজে পাওয়ার জন্য যে ধরনের যন্ত্রপাতির দরকার সেগুলো আমরা এখন বানাতে শুরু করেছি। আমাদের দূরবীন যেগুলো, সেগুলো বড় দূরবীন তৈরি হওয়া শুরু হয়েছে পৃথিবীর নানা জায়গায়, ভারতেও, এবং আমরা সেই দূরবীন মহাকাশে পাঠাতে পারছি, স্পেসে পাঠাতে পারছি, এমনকি ভারত থেকেও, যার থেকে অনেক উত্তর আসছে, যার থেকে আমরা এই ধরনের প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিতে পারছি। মহাকাশ, মহাবিশ্ব আসলে কত বড়, তার বয়স কত, তার কি হবে।
অ্যাস্ট্রোস্যাটের ডেটা নিয়ে আমরা এই ছাত্রছাত্রীদের শেখাবো কীরকমভাবে সেই অ্যাস্ট্রোস্যাট ডেটা অ্যানালাইজ করে সেখান থেকে বিভিন্ন জিনিস যেমন পালসার, তারপরে ব্ল্যাক হোল, গ্যালাক্সি, এগুলো থেকে কিভাবে তাদের খবর আমরা এই ডেটা থেকে জানতে পারি, সেইগুলো আমরা এখন আন্ডারগ্র্যাজুয়েট লেভেলে অ্যাস্ট্রোস্যাট ডেটা দিয়ে সবাইকে শেখাবো।
এরিসে আমাদের কাছে এখন ভারতবর্ষের সবচেয়ে বড় যে দুটো অপটিক্যাল টেলিস্কোপ সেগুলো রয়েছে, নেমলি 3.6 মিটার দেবস্থল অপটিক্যাল টেলিস্কোপ। নৈনিতাল থেকে আরও 50 কিলোমিটার দূরে আমাদের আর একটা অবজারভেটরি আছে, যেই জায়গাটার নাম হচ্ছে দেবস্থল, মুক্তেশ্বরের কাছে। সেইখানেই এই 3.6 মিটার টেলিস্কোপটা রয়েছে। দিস ইজ এ ন্যাশনাল ফেসিলিটি। এই টেলিস্কোপের সাহায্যে মানে যে কোনো অ্যাস্ট্রোনমিক্যাল অবজেক্টস দেখা যেতে পারে, যত দূরের তারা বা গ্যালাক্সি এবং এক্সট্রা গ্যালাকটিক সোর্সেস সেগুলো সম্বন্ধে আমরা অবজারভেশন করে থাকি এখান থেকে। আমি কলকাতায় এসেছি এই সায়েন্স এক্সিবিশনের জন্যে, এবং আমার খুবই ভালো লাগছে, কেননা সায়েন্স সিটিতে যত অল্প বয়সী ছেলে মেয়েদের সঙ্গে রোজ দেখা হচ্ছে এবং তাদের যে প্রশ্নের কোনো সীমাই নেই বলা যেতে পারে, এটাতে আমাদের খুবই ভালো লাগছে, কেননা আমাদের মেন ইন্টারেস্ট ইজ টু মোটিভেট দ্য নেক্সট জেনারেশন। এবং সেক্ষেত্রে কলকাতায় এসে কলকাতার ছেলেমেয়েদের যদি আমরা কোনোভাবে উদ্বুদ্ধ করতে পারি, আমাদের খুবই ভালো লাগছে সেটাতে। কেন আমরা সূর্যের সম্বন্ধে গবেষণা করতে উৎসুক এবং তার থেকে কি আমাদের জানা আছে এবং কি আমাদের জানা নেই, সেটা আমাদের দৈনন্দিন জীবনে তার কি প্রভাব ফেলতে পারে, সেই সব সম্পর্কে আমি একটা সহজ ভাষায় বক্তৃতা দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করব।
স্পেস সায়েন্স, অ্যাস্ট্রোফিজিক্স, অ্যাস্ট্রোনমি, আমাদের যে মহাকাশে স্যাটেলাইট যেগুলো আমরা পাঠাচ্ছি, সেখান থেকে সোসাইটির যে বেনিফিট হচ্ছে, সায়েন্সের যে বেনিফিট হচ্ছে, সেটা আমরা তুলে ধরতে চাই নতুন জেনারেশনের কাছে, ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কাছে, স্কুলের ছেলেমেয়েদের কাছে। আপনারা এসেছেন আজকে আইজার স্টলে, এখানে অনেক ডিপার্টমেন্ট এবং সেন্টার রিপ্রেজেন্টেড। আমি সেন্টার অফ এক্সেলেন্স ইন স্পেস সায়েন্সেস ইন্ডিয়া হেড করি। আমাদের এখানে আমরা কাজ করি স্পেস ওয়েদার নিয়ে, সূর্যের অ্যাক্টিভিটি বোঝা এবং সূর্যের অ্যাক্টিভিটি আমাদের পৃথিবীর বাইরে যে স্পেসের যে আবহাওয়া, মানে স্পেস ওয়েদার, সেটাকে কীভাবে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করে, স্যাটেলাইট অপারেশনস কীভাবে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করে, সেই সব নিয়ে আমরা মডেলিং করি, আমরা স্পেস ওয়েদার ফোরকাস্টিং করি। সেই সব কাজ আমার ছাত্রছাত্রীরা করে। আমি বলবো আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রীদের সঙ্গে আপনার কথা বলতে, কিন্তু তার আগে আমি একটা কথা বলতে চাই, সেটা হচ্ছে যে দেখুন, এখানে ইসরো তো একটা রিসার্চ অর্গানাইজেশন, যারা স্পেস সায়েন্স রিসার্চ নিয়ে নিযুক্ত, যারা স্যাটেলাইট তৈরি করে, লঞ্চ ভেহিকেল তৈরি করে। আমাদের বেশ কয়েকটি অ্যাস্ট্রোনমি ইনস্টিটিউটে আছে, কিন্তু এই ইনস্টিটিউটগুলো ছোটোখাটো ইনস্টিটিউট। এখানে আইজারের মতন একটা সিস্টেম, ইন্ডিয়ান ইনস্টিটিউট অফ সায়েন্স এডুকেশন রিসার্চ, আইআইটি সিস্টেম, বড় বড় ইউনিভার্সিটি এবং কলেজ, তারা একটা বড় রোল প্লে করে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের ট্রেন করার জন্য, যারা পরে গিয়ে এই অ্যাস্ট্রোনমি ইনস্টিটিউট বা ইসরোতে গিয়ে রিসার্চ করতে পারে, তাদের সহযোগিতা করতে পারে তাদের সঙ্গে আমাদের এই স্পেস সায়েন্সকে তুলে ধরার জন্য। তো এইখানে ইন্ডিয়ান ইনস্টিটিউট অফ সায়েন্স এডুকেশন অ্যান্ড রিসার্চ এই সিস্টেমের একটা বড় রোল আছে, আইআইটি সিস্টেমের একটা বড় রোল আছে।
আমরা প্রেসিডেন্সি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় বঙ্গীয় বিজ্ঞান পরিষদের সঙ্গে সম্মিলিতভাবে মাতৃভাষায় বিজ্ঞান প্রসার নিয়ে আমরা একটা ছোট অনুষ্ঠান আজকে পরিকল্পনা করেছি, সেটা ওখানে চলছে। সেখানে 5টি বাংলা মাধ্যম স্কুল, বর্ধমান, উত্তর ও দক্ষিণ 24 পরগনা এবং কলকাতা জেলা থেকে 5টি বাংলা মাধ্যম স্কুলের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা এসছেন, তাদের শিক্ষকেরা এসছেন এবং তাদের জন্য আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা প্রেসিডেন্সির ফিজিক্স এবং অ্যাস্ট্রোফিজিক্সের ছাত্রছাত্রীরা মহাকাশ বিষয়ক বাংলায় একটা কুইজ অর্গানাইজ করছে।
একেবারে সঠিক বলেছিলেন। তারপরেরটা ছিল হচ্ছে কাপল অভিযান, যে রকেটটি ব্যবহার হয়েছিল আমি বললাম যে অনেকবার শেষ হচ্ছে স্যাটার্ন 5। আর তৃতীয় কোন উপগ্রহের মাটি, তা ছিল হচ্ছে এনকেলেডাস। আর নাসার ভয়েজার অভিযান, সেটাও সঠিক দিয়েছে 77 সাল, আমি বলে আগেই উত্তরটা বলেছি।
পরবর্তী পর্বে এক মনোজ্ঞ বিজ্ঞান আড্ডায় বিশিষ্ট বিজ্ঞানীদের সাথে সাধারণ মানুষের আদান প্রদানে, গানে, গল্পে, কবিতায় আমরা সাক্ষী থাকব এক নতুন সময়ের।
भारत जो सदा रहा पथ प्रदर्शक विश्व का, धर्म का, अध्यात्म का, संस्कृति का, शिक्षा का और विज्ञान का। भारत जिसने समृद्धि का प्रसार किया, प्रेम व अहिंसा का प्रचार किया, विविधता में एकता का संचार किया। भारत ने सदा किया सभी मत पंथों को स्वीकार, विदेशियों का सत्कार, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम का व्यवहार। फिर यहाँ एक समय आए कुछ विदेशी, करने को तो व्यापार, पर करने लगे छल का कारोबार। सोने की चिड़िया के पंखों को वे कतरने लगे। समाज, संस्कृति, शिक्षा और संस्कार को नष्ट वे करने लगे। फिर ऐसा षड्यंत्र हुआ कि भारत परतंत्र हुआ, पर मिट न सकी स्वराज की चेतना, उठी स्वाधीनता खोने की वेदना। देशभक्ति की धुन में मगन वीर योद्धा बढ़ चले, नारी शक्ति जाग उठी, वनवासी भी हुंकार उठे।
स्वराज्य मेरा जन्म से अधिकार,
ये देश के सरिया ना कुछ बढ़ के वतन से
हंसते हंसते दे गए कुर्बानी अपने प्राणों की।
लुटा देंगे सारी खुशियाँ, ये
तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा।
करो या मरो,
लिख गए अमिट गाथाएं सत्य, अहिंसा और बलिदानों की। स्वराज, भारत के स्वतंत्रता संग्राम की समग्र गाथा आपके अपने दूरदर्शन पर।
सबसे पहले मन स्वच्छ किया, नामुमकिन को